Dear students, today we are going to continue our learning to write a story. Open your books at page 29, exercise 5. Write the adverbs the writer has used to describe the following: making our way, slowly, screaming, frantically, train rocking, dangerously, ran quickly, we got up anxiously, and let's check in the text. In exercise 6, you are to fill in the sentences with the suitable adjectives or adverb from the list. Which adverb is used as an intensifier? Yes, it's absolutely. Now let's check. The thunder was deafening and the windows were shaking violently. I felt absolutely terrified when I saw the massive wave rushing rapidly towards us. Dark clouds filled the sky as the heavy rain poured down. Simon drove carefully across the bridge. In exercise 7, you are to fill in. Let's check. As soon as we reached London, we looked for somewhere to spend the night. Eventually, we came across a small nice bed and breakfast hotel. While we were waiting at the reception, a young man entered. He looked at us coldly, then disappeared in the lift without saying a word. Suddenly, we heard a scream. Minutes later, the young man came down the stairs. He looked very scared, and his hands were shaking. Before we said a word, he grabbed my hand and said, "I saw him. He is in the room waiting for me. Please help me." And then he fainted. In exercise 8, you are to look at the picture and use the prompts to set the scene. Start with the sentence given.
Steve could never expect his weekend trip would end like this. Last Saturday afternoon, Steve and his friends were enjoying themselves in their sailing boat. Suddenly, the sky went dark and the wind began to blow hard. Huge waves hit their boat and Steve and his friends felt frightened.
Exercise 9. You are to put the pictures in the correct order to make the outline of the story. Let's try. Number 1 is picture B. Number 2 is picture D. 3 is picture A. And 4 is picture C. Now let's listen and check.
One hot July day, Matt and his friends decided to go surfing. After they loaded their surfboards into his Jeep, they set off for the beach. By the time they got to their favourite surfing spot, the weather had changed. Dark clouds had filled the sky and the wind was blowing violently. Matt continued to drive down the beach, hoping to find a calmer area, but the weather only got worse. All of a sudden, a huge wave collided with the side of his Jeep, turning it upside down. Everyone screamed. They couldn't get out. Matt's friend Liz called for help on her cell phone. Before long, an ambulance and a rescue vehicle arrived. They helped Matt and his friends escape from the overturned Jeep. Everyone sighed with relief. Luckily, no one was seriously injured.
And now your task is exercise 10. A magazine has asked its reader to send in stories about a nasty experience. Use the pictures on the right to write the story. Follow the plan. You see in the first paragraph, set the scene, characters, user, when, where, weather, and so on. In paragraphs 2 and 3, you are to describe events in order they happened and the climax event. For example, by the time they got, and so on. In the last paragraph, you will write what happened in the end. Feelings.
A nasty experience. It was a lovely sunny day in August. Jim and his 3 friends decided to go surfing at a sandy beach that they knew about 20 miles away. After they had loaded their surfboards in the back of Jim's Jeep, they clambered inside and set off happily. At first, the sun was shining brightly, but by the time they got to the beach, dark clouds began to appear in the sky. The wind started blowing hard, and the sea was full of big white waves. Excited rather than disappointed by the change in the weather, Jim drove onto the beach and parked on the sand. The 4 friends were about to get out of the Jeep and get their surfing gear when all of a sudden, a huge wave smashed against the side of the vehicle and overturned it. They knew they had to get out quickly before another wave struck. Harry managed to open a door. "This way! Hurry!" he shouted. Unluckily, Max's seatbelt was stuck. The boys screamed frantically as they tried to release him. Eventually they managed, but not before the Jeep was half full of water. Jim phoned the emergency services, and before long they were towing the Jeep out of the water. Everyone sighed with relief. It had been a nasty experience, but at least they were safe.